What's up, everyone? Thanks for stopping by. This is Coding for Tacos, a channel where I like to talk about freelancing, WordPress, web development, and tacos. I just had some excellent tacos campechanos, so I'm feeling ready for the video. It's Saturday today, and it's NBA All-Star Weekend, thus the t-shirt. And today I'm going to talk about two topics really, that I'm very passionate about. And that is language learning and programming, or learning to code. This video is also in Spanish, so if you'd like to see the Spanish version, check it out below. And if some of you are asking the question, well, why does it matter if they're alike? I'm just trying to learn to code. I'm not trying to learn both. And I think it's important, and it does matter, because with both things, learning a language or learning to code, you're teaching your brain to think differently, to think in a totally different way. It has to solve the puzzle, so to speak, and it takes a very long time. You're not going to learn to code in a month, and you're not going to learn a language in a month, and really, you're never finished learning. So, I want to compare learning a language, in my case, learning Spanish, to learning to code, because in my experience, they were the experience of learning both things. It was very similar. I had similar highs, similar lows. I felt burned out at times. I felt on top of the world at times. And so without further ado, let's get into 5 reasons why learning to code is like learning another language.
What kind of song do you want?
Something hot and spicy. Spicier. Spicier. Burrito, taco, burrito, taco, taco.
Reason number 1 why learning to code is a lot like learning a new language is the fact that consistency is key. I firmly believe that consistency is the most important thing when you're learning a new language or learning to code. If you're learning to code 5 days a week, 6, 7, 8 days. If you figure out a way to code 8 days a week, do it. But it's okay if you have to skip a day here and there, but you really should. Even 5 minutes, 10 minutes is enough. Maybe you only have an hour one day, but you have 15 minutes in the morning and 15 at night the next day. Take advantage of that time and don't feel like you have to kill yourself. If you have another job or something, you don't need to be coding 4 hours a day, but you should be coding every day, even if it's 10, 20, 30 minutes. That's a great place to start, and consistency is the most important thing, like I'm saying. I taught ESL for 4 years, and I used to tell my English students that studying 5 minutes a day for 7 days a week would produce better results than doing 1 hour of classes 1 day a week. And I truly believe that. And so, again, consistency is the most important thing if you're learning to code or learning a language. Learning a language and learning to code are also very similar because with both things, you have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to see results. You have to challenge yourself, and you are going to make mistakes. There's no way around it. We're talking about learning to code, or that's what this channel is about. And so if you're learning to code, that means that you need to try to build things on your own. You need to test yourself. You can't only follow tutorials, but you have to build your own projects as well. You have to collaborate with other people. You have to learn those things that maybe aren't so fun to learn, like maybe Git, for example, version control, or whatever it is for you. There are going to be things that are tough, and you have to challenge yourself and push yourself if you want to be successful. Same with learning a language. You're going to make mistakes, right? You'll say something that's funny to a native speaker. You'll mess up. You'll butcher the grammar. And that's the only way to learn. There's no way around it. And if you never get out of your comfort zone, your language level is going to be very low. And same with coding. You might be able to learn a little bit of HTML and CSS on your own without much of a challenge. But when you start to get to something complex, or you see a real client problem, it's a totally different ballgame. And so you really have to challenge yourself. You have to be okay with getting out of your comfort zone and that should be the new comfort zone. You need to get used to the fact that you don't know everything. And that leads me perfectly into reason number 3, and that is the fact that with both things, you really need to learn by doing. You can watch a million tutorials, you can watch YouTube videos about coding, you can know the lingo, you can know about all the trendy frameworks and libraries out there, but if you are just watching tutorials and YouTube videos, maybe you're reading on Dev2 or on Medium about programming, all that is great, but unless you are actually coding things from scratch on your own, you won't learn. And same with language learning. You can watch a million shows. You can get out there. You can practice your writing. You can practice your reading. But until you actually start speaking with someone and practicing your speaking in a real life situation, you probably your language level will only be so good. But in order to truly improve and to truly achieve mastery or something close to it, you need to learn by doing and get out there and be active. And I'd like to add that you'll be much more consistent and excited about the projects that you're building and the things you're doing if you find things that you enjoy, things that you like. So maybe you do. Tutorials are okay. Maybe you find a tutorial that you love, or you find a project that you're passionate about, and it allows you to learn through building a side project. Or if you're learning a language, maybe you found an app you like. Maybe you found a series that you liked. In my case, I really like rap and hip hop music. So I learned a ton of Spanish through listening to Spanish rap. I love Spanish rap. I'm obsessed with it. It's kind of strange, but for me, that was an excellent way to learn because I liked it. But again, back to the main point of learning by doing. Unless you actually get out there and start speaking, you'll never learn a language. Unless you start coding things from scratch on your own, you'll only go so far and you'll reach a plateau at some point. So learn by doing. That's very important. Reason number 4 is that you're never done learning. If you're learning a spoken language, it really can be a lifelong pursuit. Sure, of course, maybe in a year or 2 years you can achieve fluency, but that doesn't mean you'll speak perfectly, and really you'll probably never speak perfectly or even to a native level, but that's always the goal, right? I taught English for 4 years, like I said, and I learned so much about my own language. There were so many things I never thought about. And same with learning to code. New languages, frameworks, technologies are coming out all the time, and even if they weren't, even if everything was completely stagnant, you still would never be done. You could always improve and get better at your craft. So you've all heard the expression, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Well, this is an ultra marathon or something much, much longer. This is a pilgrimage because learning to code and they're lifelong pursuits. If you're learning to code, you'll never be finished. If you're learning a language, you'll never be finished. So if you are a beginner, you need to mentally prepare for that. If you're really struggling and you're feeling like, oh, I just can't get this concept, maybe take the weekend off. You're not going to master everything in a weekend, so it's very important that you adopt a learning strategy that allows you to stay consistent, like I've been harping on, and to not give up. It leads me perfectly into reason number 5, and reason number 5 why learning to code and learning a language is similar is that if you don't give up, you'll find success. If I don't give up, I'll succeed. Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. If it doesn't make sense to you, let me explain. Hear me out. It's a long process, like I said. But if you stay consistent and you establish those healthy habits to where you're not going to give up, and you have found something you're passionate about or something that keeps you consistent, it keeps you learning, you will find success. Imagine that your goal is to get a junior developer job. Let's say a back-end developer job, because I think that's maybe a little bit harder to start learning back end technologies instead of the front end. You want this job, maybe your goal is to get it in 2 years, but for whatever reason, maybe technologies are changing, or maybe you're just learning a little slower than most. Maybe it takes you 4 years, but you have found those things that help you stay consistent, and in 4 years, you're employable. Of course, it's better to do it in 2 years than four, but what I'm saying is that if you don't give up, you will get there. You will continue learning. Even if your learning strategy isn't very effective, if you don't give up, you will get there eventually. Same with learning a language. Maybe you decide to go to a different country for a month and practice your language skills. I think you'll be surprised that by the end, you're not friends with the whole neighborhood, speaking fluently, making jokes with everyone, but you did make progress. You will be able to look back at that time and say, wow, I learned a lot of new words and expressions. I understand a lot more than I did. And the same goes for programming. As long as you don't give up, you will get to where you want to be. And there's a lot of work out there and a lot of incentive to become a programmer and a developer in this day and age. So if that is your goal, to learn how to code, as long as you don't give up and you stay consistent, you will get there. Really, you will, believe me. So that's it. Those were my 5 reasons why learning to code is a lot like learning a new language. Remember that it's not going to happen in a day or a weekend or a week, so don't get burned out. Consistency is key, and if you don't give up, eventually you will get there, even if it takes longer than you would like. But that's the nature of these things. It's a long process, so establish those healthy habits, find ways to practice and to learn that you enjoy, and you'll be super successful. I guarantee it. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you ever learned another spoken language? And if you're a programmer, were those experiences simple or similar at all? And if you are learning to code, what is your biggest struggle now? Is it learning this new concept or finding the time to learn? What's difficult for you? What are you finding? What are you having trouble with? Let me know. Thanks again for watching. I'm Taylor. This was Coding for Tacos, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.